Creativity. Creativity to me is the manifestation of what you put out. Like it could be in ways to where you're just simply just doing something and as you're speaking, you're creating something. You know what I mean? And but more so it's just like just manifesting something you just simply put out. Like just like art. It's like a canvas. And what you put out on there is simply what you create. So anything from words, anything from like music, anything could be creativity. It just depends on what you want that to be, you know.
How do you express your creativity?
I express my creativity in a multitude of ways, I play the saxophone, I do graphic design, I do many things of that nature to really just put something out there. You feel me? And it got to a point to me to where it's just like creating something. I knew I had the skill to do it, but I really just had to just make it more of my own and make it more of something that I enjoy doing because it's just who I am. You feel me? And because you can go into the world and feel some and people will get in your head and be like, nah, don't do it like this, do it like that. But like if you really don't do it for yourself, then that creativity gets dampened. You feel me? You don't want to let nobody dim your shine when it comes down to that. And so like with creativity, I would definitely say always do what you want to do. You can listen to others for feedback, but just mostly take the advice that's going to benefit your style. You know what I mean?
What is art?
Art, art, and creativity, they go hand in hand. And art can really could it can be just the art piece itself to where you see something on the canvas and you look at it and it adds something to you. So like to me, art is to where you see something and there's value to it. There's beauty to it in some sort of sense. It can be more than just looking at a piece of art. You know what I mean? And art can even be music itself to where it gives something to you. So art to me is like if it relays a message and is giving you something, that's what art is. Is in if it's manifesting something into your life that can actually benefit you or give you something in a way, then that's what it's supposed to do, and that's what the art's supposed to give. So
How does creativity relate to art?
mm. So just like what I said before, like art and creativity, they go hand in hand. So the creativity piece to where it's like you put you're creating it and you're manifesting something to put out there, and so the art side is to where there that creativity is shown, into where it's given out, and it's showing something, it's showing what you created. So it's basically the manifestation of the creativity side. You know, and but yeah, even going further back with creativity itself, of the the origin to that, the base of that is imagination. Because imagination goes into creativity, which becomes the art. So it's all math when it comes down to it. But you don't want to put it in the math perspective if it's just one after another and all just flows to create the art piece itself. So
Any closing words for the people watching?
closing words. One thing I will say is that creativity is just simply just who you are. If you don't know that you are creative, simply just you just looking at this, I mean, it's simply just you just being who you are. That's your creativity. So just put it out there and how people see is how they see it. Always just be yourself and just have fun, live life. Because life is the true canvas. So create and just do what you want to do. So yeah. You feel me? To where the concept is that you're supposed to believe in something. You feel me? But it doesn't mean nothing if you don't have the imagination for it. You know what I mean? Because the only reason why certain religions and certain stuff are what they are is because the concept came out and then motherfuckers believed it so much that it became what it was. You feel me? So all that religion is just a popularized concept, you know? Oh, and so, oh, seeing all that, it goes back to the part of imagination, to where all this had to be created from something, Oh, that so the true God of it all is imagination, because we wouldn't have all of this without imagination, without someone thinking this all out and just be like, okay, this is how we could present this, you know. So it's all about being able to imagine, create, and then put it out as the art. You know what I mean? So, even in the concept itself, like every religion, like or like everything we see around us is art to an extent. And you just gotta be able to see it. You know what I mean? Because like there was a time when I used to say that everything, like everything is beautiful in its own way, because everything has like a texture to it. You feel me? And so like there's texture on the wall, texture on the couch, like even texture on our skin. Everything has that texture. But what goes back to it is the beauty of it all is the fact that we are created from, like from all that shit. That there's an imagination to it all. And so realizing all that, and just realizing that, like the true God of it all, his imagination, like the universe and everything, and seeing how they all go hand in hand, and seeing how it all, goes from the mind to like the mind, how it deals with the emotions of the mind and everything, like seeing all those concepts is like it's a lot to break down. But if the right people are willing to listen to it, they'll see things in a whole different way. You know what I mean? And they'll see more than just like their own perspectives. So, but yeah, dog.
Creativity, something to me, is that being able to bring out something from your mind into the reality in front of you, basically. And more, it's like artistically, and then there's, I guess, more as like being able to think mentally about creative solutions and stuff like that. Being able to improvise, that's kind of, I think that takes creative qualities in some sort of way. But creativity is being able to see something differently, or be able to bring something into that reality.
How do you express your creativity?
The way I express my creativity, I like to make videos. Just being able to have that freedom of just being able to put whatever the hell I want to put in, and it's kind of a nice way of like being like, oh, I can do. It's kind of like when you're into Minecraft and you're just able to build whatever the hell you want to build. If you want to do it, you can. And drawing, I used to be a big drawer when I was younger. Every now and then I'll draw again, but it's kind of certain ways I kind of express my creativity is by drawing, or sometimes I just try to talk to random people too and try and find like creative ways to talk to people, and I'll go up to them and just try and strike up a conversation. I feel like it's kind of like whenever you talk to people, I view it as kind of some kind of game. Kind of have to think more of how to navigate around the conversation and stuff like that. So sometimes I will try to, I guess, in a way, express my creativity by just talking to people.
To you, what is art?
To me, what is art? Art is something that you yourself was quite literally able to show to the world on what was going on in your mind, or some kind of beauty that you saw in something that not a lot of people were able to see. Well, because they can't see it because it's in your head. And so it's the expression of putting out whatever was in your mind into something of some sort of form of maybe music or painting or sculpture. And I feel like that's what art is to me, anyways. All right.
How does creativity and art relate?
Creativity and art. So I feel like in order to make art, you don't even need to be super creative, but I feel like the most creative people have pretty nice art because they see things. I feel like creative people see things more in depth about things. They think more deeper about things, and maybe about. So I feel like those two definitely need to be together in order to, but I don't think it's like the most important thing that you need to have to be able to make art. It could be, a lot of uncreative people can make art, and it could be something like stick figures. I feel like that's pretty creative, but it's not as creative as maybe I don't know the others' names, but the one painting with the melting clocks and stuff like that. It was like super weird, but a lot of people liked that because it was such like a weird thing to see. Not a lot of people weren't like making that kind of art, and so people were like, "Oh, this is really interesting. This is like such a different way of seeing or drawing or painting and stuff like that." And I feel like those two quite literally go hand in hand with each other, and you need those two to make some great art. I feel like I like the most creative art is probably the pretty popular ones to me, anyways.
To me, creativity is about taking the resources that God gave you and making things as your own, using your own power, looking at the world around you, and kind of coming up with something, taking bits and pieces of things that came before you. So for me, influence is a huge part of it. And when people say, "Oh, is your work original?" Originality is cool, but what is originality, man? Like everything comes from something, man. Like metal music came from rock music. Rock music came from jazz music. Hip hop came from a little bit of both. And R&B. And it's all been in EDM takes aspects of all those different kinds of stuff and melds them together, and we're using computers and we're taking. So for me it really is about, all of us have resources, and they can be different depending on the time period that we were born, that we grew up, and the culture that we're surrounded by, but all of us have these things that we can take pieces from and make them our own. Having something that's familiar but new at the same time, and putting it together in a way that shows the world who you are. To me, that's creativity. Art, what is it? Okay, excellent question. Hold on. Stay hydrated, fellas. Um, Art to me, much like creativity, it's the product that you get when you express yourself. But on the flip side, it's not a product at all. And people sometimes base their art off of how many views does it get, streams, likes, sales, how many people showed up to my show. All that stuff is really cool extra things that you can benefit from making art. But it is just that. It is extra. And I have to remind myself that, because at the end of the day, the art that I make, that I'm a part of, that is for me, and that is me. And that, it doesn't make you any more or less of an artist because you're not where you want to be yet. You never know, what plans God has for you. You could blow up tomorrow. You could blow up 2 years from now. You may not blow up at all, and there might not even be a blow up. It might be a steady incline upwards and having like a loyal fan base. You might not ever get that viral moment. But what does that even mean? And I feel like whenever you decode it, art, it's not. I gotta be careful with how I phrase this, because I love pop music. I like a lot of like modern, hip hop, and like these TikTok hits and the remixes. Like they're all cool, and I don't want to say that they're like a dime a dozen type of thing, and because I don't want to discredit the people that made it. But art to me, in its rawest form, is like, don't think about what can I do to get views, what can I do to get likes, what can I make that's quick and easy to get people's eyes on it. It's like, what is true to me, no matter how I'm feeling and no matter how cringy it is. Dude, I've written so much music that's so cringy looking back on it, with like the lyrics, like I look back and, oh man, the production value really isn't there. Doesn't matter, no, because that's how little 17-year-old me was feeling at the time. Every day is art. How you speak to others is art. Your kindness is art. The clothes that you wear is art. The drawings that you make, your handwriting when you sign papers, that's art. I think people kind of put art in a box, but art itself, the meaning of that word and that whole culture, is to break outside of any box. I think that's the whole purpose of it. You can't categorize, well, you can, but it doesn't make sense in my eyes to categorize things and section them off and try to make profits out of them and say, okay, but this is a rock song, we're selling this. This is an abstract painting, we're selling this. What do these words even mean? What is genre, right? What is style? What is that? Because to me, that's the antithesis of art. That is not, you know what I mean? And like, not to be all hippie with it, but people try to put things out like it's a commodity. and like it's a product to sell. You can make it a product to sell. I can put my records on CDs and I can put them out on the streets and $5 and it's a thing. That's cool, but that is not the end all be all. That's not why I do it. That's never going to be why I do it. I have hundreds, literally hundreds of songs that I've made that nobody's ever heard other than me. Because it's sick. It's cool to like make a little video and post it. Like, okay, here guys, like, and and then people comment and it makes you feel all good. But like, dude, at the end of the day, man, if you don't like your art, why would you expect anybody else to? And that's real. And that's real. And I got to look in the camera when I say this because people worry so much about other people's opinion on it. Man, I've made songs before. Oh man, I hope this goes viral. I don't even really like it. So if you don't like your art, why would you want anybody else to? Make something that you're proud of. Because guess what? If it blows like it's bad, or like if it blows like it blows up, dude, that's yours. That's yours. And you're never gonna feel guilty about yours. But if you make something that you don't identify with, that you don't think you did a good job on, it's not you know what I'm saying? You gotta make sure that your art is you, home slice. Mm-hmm. Creativity and art relate, and in my eyes, like creativity is the feeling, that is the bread and butter, that's the spirit, that's the being, right? And art is the body, that's the physical, or maybe not physical, maybe it's digital, maybe you stream your music or whatever, dude. But like creativity, you can't have creativity without art. You can't have art without creativity. If I had to put it in perspective, creativity is like the soul, art is like the body. And it goes to, and you can, and but they're one and the same for the time being because it's like that's, you put them together, that's what you have. There's some art that's made without much creativity, some would say, but I think all of it's creative. I think it has to be creative. I think it's art. That's what it is. And I think that all artists are creative people. They're one and the same thing. It's the balance. Art and creativity to me, it's the balance. Are they the same thing? No, but they're always together in the same room. You know what I mean? Can't have one without the other. Does that mean that they are twins? No, but you're never gonna see art without creativity. You're never gonna see creativity without art. Even if they don't put that art out, even if they don't make it and put it out into the world, the thoughts that they have, that's art in their mind. Just because nobody else sees it doesn't make it any less. You know what I mean?
Creativity. I guess you could say the ability to create. I guess in a way. I mean, yeah, it starts with like an idea, and I guess more like an idea to a problem or so. Like, hey, this will go really well either as entertainment, or hey, this could be really useful, or um, something along the lines of that. So then you come up with ideas, either something you create by yourself or with a team, and you piece together what's in your environment to physically make something and create that to, I guess, better either the moment or society as a whole for short term or long term. The ability to create. Um, I express my personal creativity through how I guess I live my life in a way. Um, because my creativity is approached by more like just doodling or just kind of, I start off with just drawings and then it goes in more so into like writing and then beat making and then actual painting. So creativity, at least one way I can express it is by expressing creativity through certain ways. So either painting or music or um, drawing, writing stuff down, thinking of ideas. So that's kind of how I express my ideas. More so, it's through the morning, because that's kind of where I think of certain things, and then I kind of get up, stretch, and then I write the ideas down. So most things I do, the best way to at least start my creative process is through writing everything down, and then finding a way within my environment to express that. So there's certain tools that can help me. So if it's music, I have a turntable or a piano to make it. If it's a painting, I have a canvas, I have paint, I have this. If it's some writing, I have a pen and paper or my phone. So that's kind of how I express it. So certain, like, I would say, like, genres. So it's like, yeah, I like writing, I like music making, and I like, painting or so, or even like riding a skateboard or driving or drifting and stuff. I find that is art as well. Some things that people see as normal is creative. So I use what I guess I'm feeling at that time or an idea, and then I find things that will make it work. You may have said it, or I've heard it along the lines. I'd say is the ability to express yourself through a creative entity in a way. So it's kind of going along the lines of what I said before, is kind of how you're feeling, and then you're finding tools or certain things within your environment to express it. And that expression doesn't have to really make a meaning, or it doesn't have to have any sort of structure or anything. More like when you start a painting, you just start at one corner, you just start at one arbitrary spot, and then you just go in another direction, or you attach those together, or you do this and you do that. So it's more like you're just playing, and then your playing starts to have structure to it. So you can kind of say like, oh, I'm just messing around, and then I do a circle. Oh, and then I just drew another circle, and then I do this line. Well, apparently you actually drew a face, so you didn't even realize it. So um, that's one way to to describe that. Whatever you use, you're kind of, however you do it, you start off almost like as playing. Even when you're making beats, you find the different basses that come. So you have like a doom, 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 all in the same like key or the same tone, but it's different pitches. So you're kind of playing with it until your playing actually makes sense, in a way. So that's kind of how I was determining like real good music is what's the best way to be like disorganized or just messing around, and then have it all as structured, which is the best way to make sense out of things that don't. I guess it starts off by understanding what each one is. So creativity, I guess, comes from ideas, and then art is more of the idea itself, I guess, is a good way to kind of put that. So you creative, meaning I have this idea of how to like a problem, how to solve a problem, or just something to make just because of how I feel, whether it helps someone or not. It's just there. I guess it's more like the like present tense, past tense, and stuff like, or what already happened. Like being creative, or I have this idea, I have this thing I want to do, this thing I want to make, whether it's nice, it's ugly, or more so it's open to opinion. um and is this actually like helping? So more, I guess it leads more just to judgment, more so like, all right, you creative, all right, you make something, you okay, is it helping us? Is it this, is it just there to look pretty? Is it just are you doing this to like solve a problem? And then I guess determining that creative aspect of what it is, then you say, oh, it's art, it's not meant to really do anything except be there and kind of provide you an opinion. So I guess some, as more of a basic example, you see like a canvas, it's a picture. Okay. When it was starting off, it was just a blank canvas, it was constructed, it was made, thing was pulled over, and you draw on this thing. Okay, so it was created, and then when you're there, you pick up this certain style of brush, you use this style of paint, so you're constructing all these things to make this one little task. Okay, I drew a line, and I drew an orange line, and then you then adding all these other processes together. And so that's the creative process, which is finding a bunch of things to collage together, make together, and then until you find its purpose, say it's art, then that says what it is. It's like, okay, I put all this paint and stuff together through this canvas that was constructed through other means, and then I put all these things together to come out with this, kind of like baking a cake. I put all this, and this, threw that there in the oven, voila. And then really, I guess the only thing that determined it is, I guess, other people or so. And it's like, oh, that looks ugly. Oh, that looks really pretty. Or, oh, it fell, it broke. On like the big scale of things, do what you want, because in the end, it's just going to be you, really. There's, I learned from my grandpa that there's a lot of important things. I mean, you shouldn't have to overthink things. I feel like we shouldn't have to lie to ourselves so much. It's kind of just plain simple, the best way I learned a lot of things was just something that's just dumbed down, like to where you hear from it, like you teach it to a kid. I mean, one of the teachers was one of the best teachers I had was like, you know how to stop smoking? You don't put it in your mouth. You know how to stop smoking? Don't put it in your mouth. So it was like simple as that. You just don't do certain things. If you like certain things, simply go for it. If you don't like it, don't do it. Um, it shouldn't have to be that hard, but I feel like we make it difficult on ourselves. And then when we make it difficult on ourselves, we point the blame, and then we make it hard on others. So I feel like we should really just like do what you really truly feel, but also kind of think it through. Kind of think of how it may affect yourself on the broad scale, how it'll affect others on the broad scale. See how it would affect how many people, because you can affect a bunch of people and maybe not have an effect. You can affect a bunch of people and have a big effect. You can also make a change in a crowd of a lot of people, or make a difference with a lot of people. But then there's that one person that really does make the difference. That's like, I look at some of the world's biggest leaders, either like tragically, like who were evil or who were good, and the main thing that's in common with everything is they were just one person. They're just one person. They were born somewhere, used what they had, and then they dang near took over the world, or they did take over, or they use their power for different purposes, or I think of people who make like $1 billion, like $1 billion. That's enough to satisfy me for my whole life. There's one person, multiple one persons that have billions of dollars. So I think of like, why can't that happen to me? And I take whatever I learn and implement it on my daily life. But I also think, don't let it get to you. Don't let it, let the fame or the wealth overtake that. But not just saying that on, just like basically everything you do, you gotta take it with a grain of salt, or choose your options carefully, because careful what you wish for, you might just get it. You might actually get it. At least for the creative wise, like being creative, artist wise, artistic wise, or music wise, or something creative on that scale. Just keep going and keep making stuff, because you never know how, it starts with an idea, you know um and then you're basically perfecting the idea. Kind of, you just think of um really anything, and then the first uh models of it, like a camera was on a tripod, and it was actually like some light that was reflecting, and it would shine on a piece of paper, and then artists would sketch it out. That was the first like picture cameras, in a way. And then now we just have it to where we can just pull out our phones and just take pictures and have millions and millions of pictures and store it on data and stuff. Or, you see a car and it was just on wagon wheels, or we were pulled by horses, and now we make battery powered cars and stuff like that, and rocket cars and stuff. So really you just got to start somewhere and expand from there, and then just keep going at it. I feel like you are your best critic pretty much.